Hey everyone, welcome back to what's happening in real estate this week. I've got Conrad Zurini, broker owner of REMAX Escarpment and REMAX Niagara. He is the top broker in Ontario and Canada and also in the world. He's won awards for that. And also Brian Hogben, Mission 35 Mortgages, top big mortgage real estate team. I always say go to a mortgage broker. Don't go to a mortgage specialist at the banks. Nothing against the banks, but I'm telling you, they have more experience. The brokers do. So, guys, what's happening? Okay, we know that the interest rates they held off, but I also want to talk about young Canadians. It's tough for them to. It's slipping away of them buying a house, and also I want to talk about a lot of people are missing their payments and mortgages. So, where do you want to start?
It's all good news, Rob. All good news, right? Where's the positivity?
We're going to make it better. We're going to make it
well,
better.
You know what, though? I look, yes. And I think you're going to start to see some affordability coming in, a little bit fast and furious as we speak. There's a lot of inventory out there. And I think sellers are finally realizing what's going on. Look, yeah, there was, without a doubt, like when you start to look at what people could afford, like back, if you take the whole inventory that's available today, back if you were making $100,000 income, you probably could afford up to 60 to 70% of all the inventory that was part of the MLS. Now it's probably closer to 40%, and it's going into that 30%, which is kind of, when you're talking that 100,000, you think the Sunshine List, $100,000, when they announced that back in 1995, when Mike Harris announced that 100,000 was a lot of money, but now 30 years later, it's not the same cachet. So that is disturbing. I feel for some of these young kids that are coming out to buy, but we're lucky in our area, Rob, and you know it too. We've got good, all the way through Niagara. I'm still seeing homes selling at 4.25.
Yeah,
so detached. So there's still some good buys out there, and still some opportunities for sure.
Well, I think I had that 4.25 one because I was telling Rob earlier. We had
you bought it.
No, one of his clients that was getting pre-approved.
We had two 25-year-olds buy this week, right? And one of them was that Fort Erie Welland 425 mark.
Yep.
And the guy, 25 years old, bought the property. Had another one just buy in Rosedale this week for $550. Yep. And put down $30K down payment that he saved up. The guy was an elevator mechanic. They make pretty good money, actually, by the way, elevator mechanics, for anybody looking for jobs for their kids.
Yeah, and apparently that business, they only hire from family and friends. That's a pretty, elevator. Oh, really? The elevator mechanic guys. Yeah, it's an up and down business.
They're on call. You got to think, if you're at a hotel and that hotel ain't working at 3 a.m, that elevator's not working, someone's got to come.
I have elevators, and my bills are extraordinary. my maintenance contracts are extraordinary. I think they're all in cahoots, and they all charge the same. Doesn't matter if it's Otis or Schindler, they all charge the same. So that's another podcast.
Yeah. But just on that note, it's been a while because I know some of the stats were released, and the average age of a first-time home buyer is late 30s now, right? Like you're talking almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
But it's just that whole narrative is like, listen, if you're trying to buy, and this is no different, I think, from when we were younger too. If you're trying to buy mom and dad's house, it's really expensive. You got to start with a starter home, and a starter home in the fives, 550, 450, depending on your market area where you are. On that $100,000 income, you're getting it, and you're getting it with a reasonable down payment as well too. One that you actually can save for. Now I know it's tough and expensive, but sometimes you got to sacrifice some things in order to do it.
Well, I think we're going back to the future, right? Like that's how we all did it. I know you did that, Rob. I know you did that, Brian. Like I had a condo, and I sold my condo, and then I ended up in a townhouse, and then get to my single detached. So over time, so we're going back to that. I think a lot of people tried to get that destination home right away. And a lot of parents were helping with that. But I think we're going back to the future, back to this whole idea of building equity. And the other good news is that seniors outstripped millennials for renting. So there's more seniors now, a percentage of seniors renting than are millennials. So the millennial number renting is dropping, and they're taking a dive into home ownership like these guys you're talking about, right? So.
No kidding. Good. So what's Gen Z? You have a daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
Gen Z, 21 years old, Conrad. Now, that generation, and we were just talking a little bit about it, is probably going to have the toughest time in affording a house
Yep.
because their parents would be kind of like almost our age. Actually, no, even younger, and
Yeah.
they're not the ones that have the money to give to the Gen Zs. You know what I mean? Like
No.
the baby boomers had money, gave the money to the grandkids or the generation younger. So like, how are these guys what's gonna happen to the market? We're gonna have more renters. Like now I understand I'm not sure in Europe, a lot of people rent versus own. Am I correct about that?
Depending on
Especially
the country, like ownership
Germany,
in Portugal's high. Germany is like probably 60-40 or 55-45. Yeah,
So
you're right. Yep.
could we end up going that
Yep.
direction in the next 10, 20 years from now?
Well, they talk of that. Everybody says we're going to, that's the, you said a mouthful there, and that's what people are talking about when they're debating about home ownership, and they're looking at Germany, and that's the poster child for we don't want to become Germany. That's something that everybody talks about. We're going to be the next Germany. Look, Germany went through a lot, and also even ownership of the actual apartments went institutional. So there was they lost all their small investors, the guys that own duplexes, triplexes, even 12plexes, all ended up selling. Big institutions bought it, and a lot of those Germans came to Canada to buy product and buy apartment buildings, invest here in that kind of product because they got shut out of their own community. And their next place, they're now in Spain. They're buying up in Spain. But yes, that's the problem. We're gonna become like Germany, and there's gonna be we could be at that. We could be at 60-40 close. I think we're below 65% ownership right now.
Wow. No kidding. Now, switching gears here, we're finding a lot of people right now, Brian, are missing their mortgage payments. How can they save themselves? Like what,
Good question.
how can a guy's missing one or two payments? And I'm going to give you a story before you get into that. Now, there was a lawyer, a bank gave the lawyer this listing, and it hasn't got. They gave him the letters and everything, but the lawyers make money from the bank when they actually get to refer that listing. And what happened to this guy, he had it listed with an agent, not us, calls me up, and it expired. And I said, you might be too late. Like, his agent did try to help him with the lawyer, but the lawyer wasn't taking any offers, even if it was a good offer. He wanted that thing to go power sale so he can refer it and make more money on it. Is there a way to stop this crap? Like, I mean, somebody should call like a radio station or a newspaper or TV news, and approach these people and say, listen, you're throwing people out of their house, and that could be saved. And Brian, here you come in. How can we save people from losing their houses or selling their houses? Because it's hard to get back in the market once they sell.
I think you do this every day, Rob. Anyways, you gotta work with Rob, work with a good realtor, right? Like, we have a power sale situation right now with our mortgage investment corporation. House is worth $700,000, give or take, and then the mortgage we have on is $400,000. Tons of equity. We're not worried. No issue, no problem, right? But a bloody realtor came and said, honey, I can get you $800,000 for it. And it's like, no, you can't. It's worth $700,000. So now it's a combination of getting bad advice, because now as the lender is going to be tacking on fees for arrears, insurance, all these things. And the lawyer, you're absolutely right. There is a significant amount of paperwork that a lawyer does. They're sending notices. A good lawyer, they're going to spend a lot of time on that file. A good lawyer, like, I've seen them charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Right? So you know what? You can get a bad lawyer, but that person who's selling the property, you've got the opportunity to take all your equity, sell the property prior to anybody taking possession, right? You really got to have good advice. You really got to have a good realtor that sets good expectations. I think that's where the problem is with some people, because they think they're hanging on to more than they are, and they're actually losing equity with the fees. If they would just sell it for what it's worth, they'd walk away with more money sooner.
And you know what? You're right. There is a lot of bad advice, and agents, like, but the thing is, the public, like you go in and say, listen, I need 800 to get out of this thing. And the agent's agreeing to it. We just went on a listing. Daniel went on a listing. We said 725,000 should be the max that you list this property. This was in Simcoe. And we get there. They want to list at 900. Dan said, no, we're not interested. We're ready to, fold the book up and get out. And after a little bit of more talking, they did list at the 7.25. It's not going to, like, the last highest priced house that sold, it was a townhouse bungalow in this area, was like 675,000. And it should be listed at 700, but it probably will. Now, these guys, the one son lives in Vancouver. The other one lives in, the daughter lives in somewhere in the U.S. I'm not sure. It's California. And they're going to move him to Vancouver. And I go, you guys want an empty house here? You guys, like the son, how long can you take off? You're off for a month just to help your dad. Now you're going to be here for 3 months because it's not going to sell. So anyway, like the advice that you're right. If agents were more stronger, I think, the affordability, everything would be a lot easier. We wouldn't have such a big inventory out there as it is right now. I mean, my inventory is just climbing. I can't believe it. Like I said, we got to reduce probably $5 million worth of price reductions on all the properties, and that's just to get some sold. But it's crazy.
But I think transparency is the word here, and I think everybody's got to work together. And we're seeing it too. I don't think sellers are being honest with what's happening with the rears. Their CRA. We're dealing with CRA more and more. And I think, I know people want to get themselves, I want to pay off this debt, I want to do this, and they just keep ratcheting it up, and it doesn't work that way. And I think we all got to realtors got to rally together and say, look, this is what's happening. This is what it's selling at. And if there's the market is like water, it'll find the right level. Like, you will not undersell with the market, not even a chance. It just, you know what I mean? Buyers are so sophisticated, and so are our buyer agents and everything. So again, be very transparent. Yeah, we see all the time. They're adding everything. I owe some credit card debt. I always want to tell the story. Like, so if you were downsizing to a trailer in a trailer park, right? $100,000 trailer. Does that mean you get less money for your house? And they look at me like, what do you know? No, well, of course not. Well, then why, if you're upsizing or you have all this debt, why do you get more money for your house? You get market value. I always get them. They always look at me like, what are you talking about? No, you get market value, Conrad. Well, that's what I've been trying to tell you. It doesn't matter if you're downsizing. You still get the same amount of money when you sell your house. You don't take less, right?
Good point. And I think when it comes down to those power sales, you're saying, Rob, too, is make sure, and to Conrad's point, the transparency, don't be afraid to talk to the lenders, right? Yeah. Because there's some private mortgage companies out there that, they were kind of cowboys and might have leveraged a little too high. So if they know that they're underwater, it's great for the realtor and everybody else to say, hey, listen, you got 800,000 owing on this property. We're going to sell it for 770, and have that conversation up front, because some private lenders, they might be like, okay, well, I'd rather get out and know what I'm going to lose instead of just waiting and waiting, because lenders typically don't want to take over properties.
No.
Right. Yeah. So work with them, have that conversation up front. Like to Conrad's point, just have it up front. Let's
be transparent.
Right now.
Mm-hmm. So last thing, spring market. Do you think it's going to happen this summer?
Oh yeah, I think it's stretched out to the summer. We're already seeing it. Yeah. You know what's interesting, and I'm going to do my video about this. It's that those outskirts are doing so well right now. Very interesting, like rural Pembroke, and it's almost like we're back into COVID now. It's almost like we've imposed this. I'm not going to travel, so I think you're going to see this thing about your home. It's going to be recreational. It's going to be open space. Yeah. It's going to be all those things. So I think we're seeing that coming afloat, which is very, very interesting as far as I see in the market. So yeah, I think we're going to see. And this weather's been, I hate to say, it's been shitty. Yeah. And bad weather just does not bring people out and doesn't excite you. Like, I don't want to go out in the rain. So the good weather's coming. I think you're going to see this whole spring market really extend into the summer and into September and the fall. Absolutely.
Well, they're saying this summer is going to be a warm summer, so I'm banking on that, because what, I'm sick of this Ontario weather sometimes.
It is. I think so too. There's a consumer confidence index that comes out every month, and it's ticking up big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like awesome. we were in this shitter on it for a while. Like it was as low as like It was as low. It was funny. It was not funny, but it was almost as bad as when the pandemic came out. And you're like, wow, people are as about optimistic right now as they were when there was a deadly virus. But
it seems that way. Yeah, and there's a lot of.
So I think it's getting better. But to that point, I think you see the rates. When the Bank of Canada meets again in July, I think it'll be a different story, and that consumer confidence ticking up, more people will buy. So
and I think there's a deal in place. Like the fact that Carney didn't react immediately, kudos to him. I know he's getting a lot of heat for it, but kudos to him. There's something in the background, and you got to remember Taco.
Yeah.
Trump.
What does that stand? What does that stand for?
Trump always chickens out.
Yes.
Trump always chickens out. Yes.
I was trying to remember what that was.
Taco, yeah.
Trump always chickens out. Yeah.
Yes. So there you go. So
that's it. I was trying to remember yesterday. I was going, what does Taco?
I know.
That's it. Well, guys, listen. Thanks for being on, and Conrad, looking for your post on the Friday post. Also, and guys, thanks for being on, and we'll catch you next week. Follow us and learn more about what's happening this week in real estate.